I should have known better. I really should have. But the allure of owning a rare vintage porcelain doll was too much for me to resist, even though it was being sold on eBay with a dark warning from the seller. An ominous description that should have sent me running, but only piqued my curiosity further. It all started innocently enough. I was browsing through the doll listings, admiring the intricate details and craftsmanship of the antique dolls, when one listing in particular caught my eye. It was a beautiful porcelain doll from the 1920s, with long golden curls and the most piercing blue eyes I had ever seen. Eyes that, even through the camera lens, seemed to follow your every move. The starting bid was surprisingly low, but as I read the description, I understood why. The seller claimed that the doll was haunted, possessed by a malevolent spirit that had tormented their family for years. Doors slamming, strange noises in the night, an overwhelming sense of dread. They were desperate to get rid of it, no matter the cost. At first, I scoffed at the idea of a haunted doll. I'm a rational person, and I don't believe in such nonsense. But then I saw the pictures of the doll in seemingly impossible positions, as if it had moved on its own. Pictures of strange scratches and marks appearing on the walls and furniture around it, as though left by unseen hands. I was intrigued, and despite the warnings echoing in my mind, I placed a bid. To my surprise, I won the auction. The doll arrived a few days later, and as soon as I unwrapped it from its packaging, I felt a chill run down my spine. Those blue eyes seemed to follow me wherever I went, and there was an unsettling energy about the doll that I couldn't quite put my finger on. A heaviness in the air that made the room feel smaller, more confining. At first, nothing out of ordinary happened. I displayed the doll proudly in my living room, admiring its beauty and craftsmanship. A reminder of a bygone era, or so I thought. But then, strange things started to occur that made me second-guess my purchase. It began with the small things. Objects go missing, only to turn up in the most peculiar places. Doors and cabinets I had definitely closed would be opened when I returned home from work. And then one night, I woke with the startling sound of faint footsteps in the hallway outside my bedroom. Thinking it was an intruder, I grabbed the baseball bat I kept under my bed and crept out into the hallway, my heart pounding. But there was no one there. Nothing but the doll, sitting on the floor outside my room, its piercing blue eyes seeming to stare right through me, burning with an unnatural light. From that moment on, things only got worse. The unexplained noises and occurrences became more frequent and more unsettling. I would wake up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, feeling the unmistakable sensation of being watched by unseen eyes. Sometimes, I could have sworn I saw the doll move out of the corner of my eyes, its limbs shifting ever so slightly as if guided by some invisible force. I tried to get rid of the doll, but every time I attempted to throw it away or sell it, something would happen to stop me. Strange accidents, objects falling from shelves, glasses spontaneously shattering. Unexplained illnesses that would leave me bedridden for days. It was as if the doll didn't want to be parted from me, as if it had formed some malicious attachment. As the weeks went by, I became a shell of my former self. I stopped sleeping, stopped eating, consumed by the fear and dread that had taken over my life. I knew the doll was behind it all, could sense its dark presence even when it wasn't in sight. But I didn't know how to stop it, how to break the unnatural hold it seemed to have over me and my home. One night, I woke up gasping for air, the doll's icy fingers wrapped around my throat in a vice-like grip. I couldn't breathe, couldn't move, paralyzed by fear as those cold, unblinking eyes bored into me. Just as I thought the world was going black, the doll released its grip, and I gulped down air in ragged gasps, my throat raw. That was the final straw. I knew I had to do something, or the doll would be the death of me. So I did the only thing I could think of. I gathered it up, got in my car, and drove until I reached a remote, unpopulated area far from any civilization. There, I dug a deep hole and buried that cursed object, pushing the earth down over it again and again until I could no longer see it. For a while, things seemed to go back to normal. The strange occurrences stopped, and I was finally able to sleep through the night again without that lingering sense of dread. I thought I was free of the doll's malign influence at last, but the peace didn't last long. A few weeks after burying the doll, I started having vivid nightmares of the doll clawing its way out of the ground, its eyes blazing with hatred, coming back for me. And then one night, I woke with a scream cut in my throat to find the doll sitting at the foot of my bed, covered in dirt and leaves. Those piercing blue eyes burning with the hatred I had never seen before, even from it, as if being torn from the earth had only made it stronger, more vengeful. From that moment on, my life became a living hell. The doll tormented me day and night, never giving me a moment's peace. It would appear and disappear at will, sometimes whispering twisted things in my ear in a voice like nails on a chalkboard, other times lashing out with physical violence, pushing me downstairs, leaving deep scratches along my arms with its sharp nails. I tried everything. I sought help from paranormal investigators, from priests and mediums, from anyone who would listen. I showed them the doll, told them my horrific experiences, begged them to help me be rid of this evil once and for all. But nothing worked. The doll was relentless, and it seemed to be growing stronger with each passing day, feeding off my terror. In the end, I was left with no choice but to flee my home, to abandon everything I had ever known and start over somewhere new, somewhere far away from the doll's reach. I packed up what few belongings I could and ran, drove until the city disappeared in the rear-view mirror and I could breathe again. But even now, years later, I can't shake the feeling that is still out there, waiting for me. biding its time until it can strike again. I see porcelain dolls in shop windows and my heart stops. I have nightmares of those blue eyes, staring at me with cold hatred as icy fingers wrap around my throat. I should have listened to the warnings. I should have left that cursed doll alone. Ignored the dark whisperings of greed and obsession that led me to purchase such an object despite every instinct telling me not to. My life is ruined because I arrogantly bought a haunted doll, thinking I could control the evil force inside it. Stay far away from any antique doll rumored to be haunted, or you may suffer a similar regrettable fate. You've been warned.